much better. I can see now. Isn't that amazing? From this perception, I don't see very well. I just need a different lens. And now I can see. So just changing the lens helps me change what I see. Interesting. You know, what's also interesting is that my glasses are pretty dirty right now. There are smudges and I can see through them. But what I'm seeing is actually a little bit blurred. It's a little bit messy. Life is the same way. Because we see through lenses as well, each one of us. But our lenses aren't this clear. Our lenses are mixed. Our lenses are mixed with pain and suffering and experience and trauma and pain. Imagine if we, just imagine, what if we were these incredible beings of light and we were down here to learn experiences in the human form, in the physical form, because we can't really experience pain in the spiritual form. So let's just imagine we are here, dropped into these bodies to experience life as a human. But our loving, beautiful spiritual beings that are pure light and love, let's say that's what we are, they would see everything in life through those loving, godlike perception, right? The perception of love, the lens of love. That's how they would see everything, because that's what they are. That's what we are. That's what you are. But when we get dropped down into these bodies, see things happen. A little baby's crawling around and bumps their head really hard and realizes, that hurt. I'm not going to do that again, because pain hurts. And then someone yells at you when you're 2 years old or 3 years old or 4 years old or whatever. Somebody's mean to you on the playground, whatever it is. All of a sudden, that lens gets a little bit muddled, right? This filter comes in front of it saying, oh, this is how life is if I act a certain way. And then the next time something happens, another filter comes, and pretty soon, every time someone said something mean to you, or you've gotten hurt, or you've had a breakup, or whatever pain has happened, your perception has been clouded. Your perspective has been clouded. So real quick, let me differentiate what perspective and perception actually is. So perspective is your point of view. It's how you see the world. It's your lens of what you're seeing. Like my perspective a few minutes ago was pretty cloudy, and I can see much more clearly with a cleaner lens. So perspective is your point of view and the way you see it. Now, perception is the meaning that you place behind what you see. And there's this beautiful quote by Henry David Thoreau that says, it's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. You see, perception is how we live our life. It's whether we decide to be happy or not. It's based on those things. So I'm going to show you something right now. And I'd like you to think to yourself immediately, first thing in your head, what is this? Okay? It's a drawing. It's a very incredible drawing. For the point of this video, we're going to say, from my perception, this is a letter W. Okay? Because when I'm looking at it this way, it's a letter W. All right, but what about somebody who looks at it from this perception? What is it now? M, the letter M. All right, from this perception, the letter E. All right, how about from this perception? A 3. So, if I'm looking at it this way, and someone's looking at it this way, and someone's looking at it this way, and someone's looking at it this way, who's right? Well, I'm looking at it right now, and it's a 3, so I must be right. But what if somebody's looking at it from this perception, they see it as an M, or an E? What if somebody's looking at it from this perception, they're like, oh no, that actually looks like an M to me, or somebody else is looking at this from this perception, and sees all sorts of things, but a W, maybe? Who's right? From their perception, from the way they view it, from everything they've ever seen, from their perspective and the lens that they are looking through based on all of their life experiences, they are right. And so are you. Which feels a little weird to say, that their perspective could be right if my perspective is right, and their perception could be right if my perception is right. But again, it's the lens that we're looking through. Think about someone who is colorblind. They don't see the world through the same lens that other people do. They're limited on the colors they see. Does it mean that there's something wrong with them? No, they just see it differently. We have a lot of filters nowadays with this amazing modern technology we have, and we see some movies that have very, very bright filters. Is that real? It makes it cinematic. It's beautiful. But is that real? In the house that I used to have and I used to live in, I would walk into my bathroom and there were two mirrors. There was one on this side of the wall. There was one on this side of the wall. And every time I looked in this mirror, I looked a little thinner. And I was like, it makes me look thinner. And I really liked that mirror. This other mirror over here actually widened me out a little bit. And I did not like that mirror. I refused to look in that mirror because I hated myself when I did. So I chose to look at this this mirror because it made me feel better about myself, even though it wasn't completely accurate either. And I remember thinking one time, the way everybody sees me is through their lens. They don't even see me how this mirror sees me, or this mirror, or that I see myself in these mirrors. They see me through whatever lens they're looking through, right? Just like I see other people through the lenses I'm looking through. Wayne Dyer, an incredible man, an incredible author, an incredible speaker, spiritual teacher, educator, student, lifetime student and teacher, once said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. He also said this, loving people live in a loving world. Hostile people live in a hostile world. Same world. So how do we cleanse the lens of perception? How do we cleanse our lens of our perspective? How we see things in the first place? I'm not gonna clean this lens by dumping it in oil or smudging it with greasy fingers. It's not gonna cleanse it for me. The best way for me to clean this lens right here is to probably put some form of cleaner on it, or, vinegar or Windex or whatever. Spray it, wash it off, glass cleaner, and then I can see more clearly. I can see clearly. So how do we change that lens? How do we cleanse our lens of perspective and our lens of our perception and the meaning we place behind it? I'm gonna say 4 words because these are the ones that have helped me. And I like to imagine them as my spiritual washing of my lens. Compassion, understanding, forgiveness, and love. When we can have compassion for others, we're going to see it through a different lens. When we can have understanding, we're going to see it through a different lens. When we can have forgiveness, we're going to see it through a different lens. And when we can feel it through love, through what we really are, we're going to see it from a completely different perception. We don't know what anyone else is going through in this life. We don't know what they've been through. And especially here lately, we just had an election, right? And this is not a political post in any form. But I observe a lot. And there's a lot of people hurting right now, and there's a lot of people that are happy right now. Because some people are seeing this, some people are seeing this, and I know it's a lot more than that. And this, again, is not a political post. But what if we were to take some time and to have some compassion and some understanding. When you're ready, forgiveness and love. What if we sat down and actually had wonderful conversations with our neighbors rather than judgment? There's a lot of things I hope for. World peace being one of them. And I read once Louise Hay saying, very paraphrased here, world peace is possible if we were to all have inner peace first. And that's my goal. That's my dream. So, first things first, I need to work on my own lens of perception and cleansing it every day. I'm going to leave you with a quote by Paul Ferrini. It says, "You see what you choose to see, because all perception is a choice. And when you cease to impose your meanings on what you see, your spiritual eyes will open and you will see a world free of judgment and shining in its endless beauty." I hope all the best for you today. And I hope that if you are struggling in any form or any way, I hope that you can take a moment to see and ask yourself, how am I perceiving this right now? Is my lens a little clouded? Is there a way I can see this differently? Can I actually step out of my own emotions for just 1 minute? And that's actually one way to do it, to find compassion. To actually think about for a moment, if you could step out of your own perception. So let's imagine yourself, you're in a room with someone that you've had a difficult conversation with somewhat recently or in the past, and you just remember feeling so frustrated and upset about it. Let's imagine you're stepping out completely of your emotions as far back as you possibly can. So your physical self is up here, your body's here, and you're stepping out until you don't feel any emotional attachment to that. And then you walk around and you come to this other person and you imagine yourself stepping into their physical form and seeing through their lens. You see, if you actually sat there and you could see and you could feel everything they'd ever experienced, all of those fears, all of the pains and the traumas and the fear, really, it's all fear. If you could see that, how different would your perception be? How different would the meaning be? Then step back out of that, step away from their emotions, and you come back around and actually let's imagine you're a third person, or you're a fly on the wall, or God perspective, or whatever. Let's imagine you're a third person in the room and you have no emotional attachment to either one of these people, and you're simply observing what's going on between your physical self and this other person's physical self, and all their emotions and their perceptions and all of these things. Imagine yourself just observing, you guys. And is there anything else that you can learn from it? Is there anything you can take away? So let's go back to those 4 things: compassion, understanding, forgiveness, and love. Yes, let's see if we can have those for other people, but first, let's have them for ourselves. Let's go and find a mirror that makes us feel good about ourselves. Or who cares about the mirror? Just imagine yourself looking in your own eyes. Have you ever done that? Have you ever looked into your own eyes? And just start practicing compassion for yourself, understanding that you've been doing the best you can with the tools you have up to this point, and the tools that you've been given, that you've known how to use. You've done the best you can in life. And as we learn to do better, we do better, right? Maya Angelou said that. As we learn to do better, we do better. That's our responsibility as human beings. So let's learn to do better. Let's learn to be better. Forgiveness. That's our third one, right? Forgiveness. Forgive yourself. And love. Love yourself, because love is what you are. I love you. Peace.